16, right? 16? Oh, there's a bye week, so there's 17 weeks, right?
Oh, yeah. We're going into 17.
Week 16 of Pigskin Out Day, folks. Prelude to the playoffs. Going to be a great show tonight. A lot of stuff to cover. These two guys are going to play Sunday night for the NFC East Title.
That's going to be a really good game, too.
I'm excited about that game.
I'm super stoked. And you know what? And like I told CT, the Cowboys looked past the Eagles this past week. Romo
Sure did.
incidentally got hurt, but it seemed like the attitude was like, no big deal.
Right.
Because the Eagles were playing, they're already out, so they're playing for nothing. And then, you know, the Cowboys were like, well, no matter what happens today, we're facing the Giants next week for the, you know, NFC East title. So
I'm thinking the Giants are going to take that.
Are they consistent enough to take it? Either team.
Well, I was about to say, neither team's really consistent enough, but the Giant has been more consistent in bigger games than Dallas has.
Like New England.
Right.
Like the San Fran game, they almost won.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So
That was quite a duel. This is a game.
Based on just those two games alone, I'm going to edge it out for New York, and it's going to be close, but I think New York's going to take it.
If New York gets in, like, and I think we were even talking about this a couple weeks ago, this Giants team actually reminds me of the Giants team that went to the Super Bowl and faced the Patriots, because they were so rocky. I mean, they barely even got in the playoffs that year. They were a wild card team. They went, you know, they went all the way. So,
well, I think sometimes, no matter what you see out of a team during the season, like let's just look at the NFC East. Not the NFC as a whole. You got Packers and Saints, the two highest powered teams in the conference, who met in week 1 and shot it out.
Oh yeah.
And that still seems to be the case to this day. More offense, less defense.
right.
Then you have the Niners, who have more defense and less offense.
Right.
But are pretty much kind of consistent with that.
Yeah.
Then you have the Giants and the Cowboys, who are very inconsistent.
Yeah.
And on one week can score 37 points against each other.
Yeah.
And the next week, not so much.
Yeah, they could maybe score 3.
But I think the thing is once one of those teams, the Cowboys or the Giants, gets in a Super Bowl, it's a whole different thing.
That's true.
The whole season is forgotten, and nothing works blueprint-wise. It's a brand new situation.
Another reason why I would give it to New York at this point is because at the beginning of the season, Eli Manning went in like with a chip on his shoulder. He was like, I am an elite quarterback. It's like, I can hang with the big dogs, and guess what? He has all year, stats-wise. We'll touch on that a little bit later. It's crazy. And he's got something to prove this year, and I think that they're just going to be just a little bit more motivated to get it done.
Well, I agree that Eli does have that elite status available to him, and I think he's still trying to attain it. And I think in some games, the reason he don't have it yet is because in some games he just does the opposite and he flops. Not saying anything bad about Manning, but
no.
He has those games where and he gets that all shucks look on his face, like, what did I just throw that ball for? You know, but for the most part, he's a guy that when you play them, you have to game plan for, hey, Eli might get you on this, Eli might get you on that.
Yeah.
Eli might get us.
He might get you
overall.
Yeah. And they have the weapons to be able to do it too. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they have Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw completely made the Jets' defense look stupid.
He sure did.
Yeah, especially Kyle Wilson, which I'll touch on later because you pissed me off. And and you know, on top of that, with Steve Smith, Mario Manningham, and Cruz, they're playing. I mean, when they're on all cylinders and they're firing, they're scary.
Well, I really enjoyed Mario, and I wasn't going to go there yet, but let's just go ahead and go there now.
Okay.
The banter back and forth between the New York teams this week.
Yeah.
CT and I were discussing this earlier. You and I haven't had much chance to talk about it because it's the holiday weekend and whatnot.
Right.
But, I don't mind Rex Ryan's attitude. I don't mind his voice, the fact that he's boisterous or boisterous.
Boisterous, yeah.
I don't mind the swagger, and I don't mind all that. But at the same time, first of all, if you're going to talk some smack, you probably should win some more to back it up. And then, if you do lose the game you talk smack about in the first place, you do not continue talking more smack.
Right.
Just shut up.
You're right.
Yep.
So maybe Rex Ryan, I don't know the problem in New York, I'm going to ask you what your opinion is. You've got the coach in Rex Ryan. You got the offensive coordinator, is it Schottenheimer?
Schottenheimer.
And you got Sanchez at quarterback, and you got all these things going on, but nothing is working overall.
No, nothing
Not
is
at all.
working.
They've way underachieved this year, so what is the problem in New York?
I would definitely attribute it to offensive coordinator. Definitely. But I mean, when you have somebody like Rex Ryan, who's such, a prolific figure in your, as far as your head coach, I mean, in the NFL, I mean, he's the only person who is like him, and it's great for the NFL. It's great for publicity. It's great for the city of New York. It's great for the Jets organization to have that type, because they've really been, they've never really had that. They've never.
Well,
really
New York
been
is
an
probably the
outspoken
best
team.
place for that kind of coach. Yeah.
And but yeah, like you said, the problem is when you don't back up your talk, you kind of should probably reevaluate what you're going to talk about. I guess you know what I mean. Like,
Well, like how you just said that you attributed a lot to the offensive coordinator. What happened to their defense this year?
yeah, exactly,
They have been lackluster.
exactly.
And
he's a defensive guy,
yeah,
so I mean,
it's just like nothing has clicked at all this year. For them.
Rivas and Cromartie alone should be a shutdown situation.
for real. And David Harris and Bart Scott.
Wow.
As far as your linebackers, Chris Jenkins is not there anymore, and that hurts your your defensive line a lot. Sean Ellis can't really do it by himself. He's been in the league for 12 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're, as far as their defensive front, they're pretty old. They're not really, they're... So maybe that could be why, the rush defense really isn't there, as far as... But, I mean, it all comes down to, especially defense, your head coach. I mean, that's what he controls. That's what he is... He's their... I mean, they have a defensive coordinator, but the defensive coordinator pretty much answers to Rex Ryan.
Right.
So... and then Sanchez at the same time, I mean, he's kind of having a bust-full season. I mean, like the last couple seasons, he's been late in the game, he pulls it through, he can rally his team, they rally behind him, he's been a leader, he's a little bit more vocal, it seemed like, in the last couple seasons. And this season, it's just kind of like, when he's on. But he's had way more off moments this season. And
Well, I think it comes down to, I'm going to say that this Sanchez thing reminds me of the Romo thing I mentioned earlier in the season.
yeah.
What's your motivation? What's making you go out there and get that edge you need? Do you not have it? Because you're making the paycheck regardless.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to, poke fun at athletes in general. I'm just trying to say that us at work on everyday jobs, we work our asses off because we don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have a job. And
That's right.
It happens every day, all across this country, and so everyone's, in a way, afraid of their job. So we have motivation.
Right.
NFL players with these big contracts, I guess, and you take Sanchez. He's been a spoiled quarterback for how many years now?
Yeah.
3.
No offense to Mark Sanchez or his family, but I'm just saying, what's the motivation
Right.
to make you go the extra mile? You got
Take
guys
that
like
next
Cam
step
Newton.
as a quarterback.
You take Cam Newton, for example,
Yeah.
or Tom Brady. Very
Yes.
competitive people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that Cam and Tom are two different reasons for their competitive nature, but they still have it.
Right.
And it works for them. And some of the younger players in the league, like Christian Potter coming up,
Mm-hmm.
you got Skelton in Arizona, different teams that have different players that have
Yeah.
different motivations. You have to have a reason to just go out there and go the extra mile and just not accept losing as a culture in your life.
Right.
Speaking of the Giants and Jets, one of the guys that has that belief would be over on the Giants side, Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
Did you see his 99-yard touchdown yesterday or
that's
over
gosh.
the weekend?
Oh my gosh.
Where did he come from?
He made Cromartie change his shoes twice.
Broke his
Okay.
ankles.
For sure.
Yeah.
His shoes and his shorts.
The pass was thrown from Eli Manning out of the end zone, caught at the 11-yard line, but the line of scrimmage was the one,
Yeah.
which made it a 99-yard touchdown. But dude, it was one move. He caught the ball, made one move, and he was gone.
Gone.
Cromartie was like, I see your name, I see your jersey, I still give you no respect, and I'll still talk shit.
Mhm.
And sure enough, gee, give me a break, guys.
Yeah.
But that was a Giants record for the longest pass reception in Giants history.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Fancy
Good on
that.
you. It
Thanks
also
for
doing
doing
that against my favorite team, JOs.
Yes.
They also tied an all-time NFL record for a 99-yard. There's like,
good.
I think
Records.
if I understand correctly, there's been 13 times there's been a 99-yard touchdown reception. 13 times in the league.
Wow.
That was the 13th time. But
Wow.
like I said, a Giants franchise record for the longest reception for a touchdown.
Very cool.
So 29-14, the Giants beat the Jets. There was much trash talking, and there always will be. And I'm gonna close this segment, this section of the segment, out by just saying, NFL, Roger Goodell, look at my face, okay? Jets, Giants, every year, home opener. I don't care who's the home team. It doesn't really matter. It's the same stadium. Every year, home opener, Giants, Jets. Do it, like it, live it, love it, rock it. All right, Phil,
Awesome.
what's next?
Oh, I don't even know. That was awesome.
That was pretty badass.
How about some
Almost
scores?
makes you want to go squeeze in that badass red jeans.
Chili Rogers.
He's out.
We don't have
high on catnip.
Kat Jackson is out with our camerawoman Jen.
They're on IR this week.
Jen's on IR, yeah. And Kat Jackson is with her. So we wish them our best. So much love to them. How about the Texans and the Colts?
Wow.
The Colts win 2 in a row. The Texans lose 2 in a row.
What happened?
How did this happen?
What happened?
I don't know. It pisses me off the fact that Indy is winning games now.
Yeah.
Whenever they should have just waffled it and took it and built for next year. Now all that they're doing is putting themselves in a position where they're not going to get as good of a pick in the draft, and on top of that, where they actually need something filled, they might not get it filled now with an adequate, starter. I mean, they're obviously got everything needs to be fixed there, except quarterback. If Manning comes back healthy, and then if not, they still need to fix that because I don't think anything they've got right now is an answer for anything.
Yeah.
Well, we're a little on time here, but I want you to comment on that. But what I will say is, what I've heard is, regardless, the Colts need to get the quarterback in the draft.
Yes.
Whether it's to back up or replace Manning.
Very
Which
true.
You can't replace Manning, but
No.
Orlovsky did a great job in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
But new blood is needed, so I mean.
Well, there's 2 different types of scenarios that could play out. I mean, if they end up getting the first round draft pick, the first pick out of the draft, then that's awesome. Then they can just go for Andrew Luck. If they get a second or third pick, well, however that plays out, I don't know how the math or whatever.
Well, I have it here. St. Louis has 2 wins, so do the Colts. Minnesota now has 3.
Right.
So the advantage goes to the Colts and Rams. The Rams have San Fran next week. The Colts have Jacksonville. So as far as the chances of winning go, the Colts have a chance to beat Jacksonville, and the Rams have a chance to lose San Fran,
Right.
obviously.
Yeah.
So even if the Rams get the first pick and the Colts are sitting there in second,
There's 2
the quarterback will still be there.
Yeah, there's 2 quarterbacks that are
So-
going and that are rated for the top 5. One of which is Luck, and the other one is not Blackman because that's the receiver, but I forget what the other one is.
What about Griffin out of Baylor? Is he coming out?
Yeah, Griffin. That's the other one. That is the other one. So there's those 2 guys. So you're sitting at 2 potential great quarterbacks. So and if I were them, I would you'd have to take one of the 2.
By the way, kudos to Matt Barkley for staying at USC for another year. Good job, buddy. That's a good decision, and you'll be glad you did that. And we look forward to the next year's draft when you come out. Always a good decision to stay in college for that last year. That's
Absolutely
a commitment you made. Anyway,
that's just that little bit more of experience.
That's true.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
That can make a huge
Sanchez
difference.
left early. Vince Young left early.
I mean, they're what are they? They're in the ACC. At any moment there can be a coaching change, and
Tebow
you're facing
stayed.
a defensive offense.
Tebow
yeah.
stayed.
Yep.
Yep.
We need to do a whole segment on who stayed, who didn't. And
Yeah, Sanchez
their
should have
success
stayed.
now.
It's showing.
Maybe we ought to do that next week.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, the Rams and the Colts both have 2 wins right now. The Vikings have 3. So chances are, St. Louis. The thing about the danger of the San Fran game next week here in St. Louis is they have nothing to play for, pretty much.
That's true.
Except for respect.
As far as the who
you
has
don't
the 49ers?
Me. What
As far as the 49ers go, it's pretty simple. They've already won the West. They can clinch the number 2 spot with a Saints loss. So, and that might not happen. So it may come down to, so they have something to play for.
Yeah, well, what they don't want to do is have that black mark like the Saints have in losing to St. Louis, because that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's just terrible. Terrible knuckleheads.
Crazy knucklehead terrible.
You know, and I completely had a mind fart. Never mind.
Well, either way, next week is going to be a fantastic week of football.
Yes,
and
it
I
is.
cannot wait. It's going to be like the best. The last week is going to be as good as the first week.
I am so excited to see the ending of the.
Never mind the in between.
See what happens in this Saints and Falcons game tonight. Just because both teams are hot, both teams are already in the playoffs, and now it's just fighting. What is this?
Well, by the way, that's the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, we're going to cover some scores, but also discuss some good-ass games coming up next week.
Yes.
Before we hit the segments of these two fellows, which this guy is first tonight in the third quarter.
I am.
You're in the
You
fourth.
see my sparkling
And we
smile.
are Pigskin Holiday. Prelude to the playoffs. See you next quarter.